next subtopic that is going to be discussed under ecology is greenhouse effect. Actually, we can relate this subtopic with the previous part in nutrient cycle. So remember that students need to be familiarized with carbon cycles. So actually, greenhouse effect and carbon cycles is related to this area because carbon dioxide is actually, or carbon in gaseous form is actually a part, or is actually considered as a greenhouse gas. So this topic is basically discussing how greenhouse gases is affecting the climate, or how the atmosphere is being heated up. So it's pretty much self-explanatory because basically students can work their way around this since they have been informed previously of what climate change is and what are the factors that are affecting climate change. So this area is pretty much self-explanatory. So you just need to discuss the carbon cycle diagram and how the processes within the carbon cycle diagram is actually converting the gaseous carbon, or the carbon dioxide that is present from the atmosphere, into a different form. Okay, so processes such as photosynthesis, wherein plants are able to convert carbon dioxide into glucose, which can be used by plants as an energy source, and food or organic matter that can be used by organisms in the ecosystem. So we have photosynthesis, feeding. Of course, through feeding, this is when consumers or animals eat the producers or the plant. So in that case, there is a transfer of carbon in the form of glucose from the producers going towards the consumers. So feeding. So whenever the plants or the animals are actually undergoing respiration, okay, they're also releasing carbon dioxide in the atmosphere back. Okay, so we have to include the phenomenon or the event whenever the living organisms undergo death. So therefore, the available carbon or the available organic matter that is present in their bodies are actually being transformed or converted into a different form, being broken down by decomposers. So in this case, you have to indicate the role of decomposers here. Okay, so we have we also have, of course, the use of fossil fuels. So whenever plants or animals has been fossilized, okay, since they store carbon, okay, the stored carbon can undergo combustion. So in that case, the fossil fuels that has been stored and formed can be returned back to the atmosphere through combustion or through burning. Okay, so after explaining the carbon cycle diagram, we have to explain the correlation of the carbon dioxide that is present in the atmosphere to the greenhouse effect itself. So we have to indicate that greenhouse effect is actually naturally occurring because the presence of carbon dioxide is the one that is actually maintaining the temperature of the atmosphere, which is actually making providing a conducive temperature for all living organisms here on Earth. So greenhouse effect is actually natural. It's a natural thing, but it makes an impact of it makes a negative impact because of an increased carbon dioxide accumulation in the atmosphere because of certain activities such as the use of excessive usage of fossil fuels, the exhaust exhaust that is being released by vehicles, all things such as that. So we have to discuss the amount of carbon dioxide being produced towards greenhouse effect. Okay, so we can also use like case studies wherein there actually produces graphs wherein there is an accumulated like in a long period of time there are actually evidences that shows that there is accumulation or an increase in the carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere, which contributes to the climate change, okay, or an induced greenhouse effect. Okay, so right after this area, we have to discuss about precautionary principle. Okay, precautionary principle is basically a fairly new term that is being used in ecology, wherein it is actually discussing how methods are being done, wherein we have to take caution on the things that are the activities that we are doing that can pose harm on the atmosphere. So, for example, during the industrialization period, of course, there is an excessive use of carbon dioxide. So, in that case, even if there is like an advancement of technology at the time, we actually haven't foreseen that there is an excessive production of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, which could actually affect the atmospheric temperature, which could actually later on result to global warming. So in this case, okay, we just need to like find examples so that we can further discuss precautionary principle. So the last area that is needed to be discussed under greenhouse effect, okay, is the consequences of climate change, okay, on Arctic ecosystems. So since the Arctic ecosystems are the ecosystems that are greatly affected by climate change, we have to discuss what are the things that could happen to the Arctic ecosystems if they have been greatly affected by climate change. So, in that sense, we have to be able to discuss it. Of course, there would be a destruction of their habitat, of the living organisms that are living in that state or in that condition. Of course, if the polar caps or if the glaciers are being melted or is actually melting because of climate change, then there is an increase of water levels, which can result to flooding. So there are several consequences, there are several events that can happen because of this. So we just need to discuss them point by point so that students will be able to see, will be able to understand and see their effect. So that will be all in greenhouse effect.